Welcome to BOSS Talks Fireside Chat, where I'll be your host, Aesthetics. And our guests, you guys have seen before, but I'll let them introduce themselves.
My name is John Jones III. I'm on staff with BOSS, Building Opportunities for Self-Sufficiency, where I serve as the Director of Violence Interruption and Prevention Programs.
And I'm Alvin Jeff Richardson on behalf of Mixed Behavior, here to do this BOSS Talk.
Thank you, gentlemen. And thank you for allowing me to host this conversation. Earlier today, both of you guys spoke quite a bit of time about God. So I want to start off there. John, do you mind?
Yes, I'm a firm believer in God. I will go as far as say everyone needs to have a higher power. We have to have something above ourselves because we have our weaknesses, our frailties, and our limitations. And I think most importantly for me, what helped me, which connects to the theme of transformation, is the concept of faith. Believing things are possible and believing that there will be assistance and guidance. So yeah, I love God. And without God, honestly, I wouldn't be here right now.
Thank you. Jeff, how do you feel about faith or God?
Well, I believe in God greatly. My faith is rooted in Christianity, but I've also experienced a little bit of Islam, but I slowly got back to my Christian roots. And I know that without that higher power, without that guidance, without that, I would be nothing. And none of this would be possible today. So it's greatly needed.
I love that. Now, I really want to talk deep about your family ties because I know you guys spoke about that earlier. And of course, if you guys don't want to talk about anything, you don't have to. This is a safe space. But I do want to know, we speak about transformation and our past to present. So I want to hear a little bit about what you personally feel has transformed you and whether you used anything from BOSS or anything like that to help you get there.
For me, my story starts with being born, being given birth to by a Black mother. My mom got pregnant with me when she was young. And I always say, when my mother went into labor, she literally walked to the hospital to give birth to me. So I was born from strength. And throughout my life, and especially during the time I was incarcerated, you know, I was feeling down. I'm like, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this. My mom used to always tell me, she said, son, you may not understand what you're going through now, but it's gonna serve a higher purpose. I used to say, easy for you to say, you're not the one doing time. But she planted seeds, most importantly. She gave me and my siblings, I'm the oldest, she gave us a foundation, a structure that consists of morals, of values, a hard work ethics, having responsibilities at an early age. I always tell my kids, I say, y'all spoiled. At 8 years old, I was picking my siblings up and providing meals while she was working. So for me, without family, I would not be nowhere near the man and person I am today.
Wow, that you always find some way to blow me away, but like speaking about your mother and like even our interaction earlier, I truly know that you embody that like in and out, and I just thank you for that. And just hearing from that story, I know that is why you are who you are today, and you are not ashamed of it, and I love that for you, King. Jeff, what about you?
Well, for me, it was similar to the brothers, but my situation was I was born into a family. I had a mother and a father. I had great grandparents. I had a host of family members that assisted in my nurturing and my growth. But the catalyst for me was I had lost my father. And my mom, like I said, my mom, she did like above and beyond. She spoiled me beyond measure to make sure I always had to try to compensate for the loss of my father. And then other family members, aunts, uncles, grandparents also stepped in. And I also had neighborhood, friends and family members that was always there for me to give me the structure and the guidance that I needed, even though it was kind of hard and it was difficult because I saw my other friends or cousins with their father. And for me, the loss of my father, not having that, made me feel some type of way, made me feel inferior to some point because I didn't have both parents. And so to me, that was a driving thing for me as far as getting where I was trying to go and trying to be a man when I didn't have that guidance. But my grandfather, neighborhood friends, and uncles stepped in and do it, and without them, I would be nothing. They made it happen, made it possible for me.
Thank you for that. I was just like envisioning because when you started speaking about, losing your father, but having that village and that community around you, that was truly impactful. And I'm wondering, when you see or envision, like for me personally, a Black man, that's the leader of my household. So for you to lose that stability, was it difficult for you to find like that courage to rise up, or because you had a family, it wasn't as difficult? Did you really struggle?
Well, yes, I did struggle, and I went to a rebellious stage. I didn't respect any authority or none of that because of the loss of my father. It was because not having that guidance, I felt like I was dealt a bad hand. So any type of authority I rebelled against, and ultimately that's kind of like what led me. That was a gateway for me to get into the streets, because I started looking towards the streets to fill those voids and those vacancies in my life.
I know even this goes out to the both of you guys, because I understand like the streets is something you can't take away. We are the product of our environment. Do you feel like that played a role into you being in the system?
I would say absolutely. In fact, the streets connects to the sense of family. You know, in places like East Oakland out here, we say, oh, that's my bruh, that's my cuz, right? That's unc, that's auntie, that extended family unit, that social fabric, because we're social creatures. And I think it's important anytime we talk about the streets and incarceration, we should always start with the systemic nature, because that's the true root cause. When we're coming of age, for myself, I came of age in the 80s during the height of the crack cocaine epidemic. So I was born in 74, so I'm old enough to remember East Oakland when I was 5 and 6 as a neighborhood where we knew our neighbors. We don't know it no more. We lost the neighbor aspect. That's why we refer to it as the hood. You can live in an apartment building for 5, 10 years and can't even name 3 people who live in your building. That wasn't always so. And in addition to that, when we look at the rapid divestment, the marginalization, the outsourcing of manufacturing-based economy that was present here in Oakland, which is why so many Black people came to Oakland, start with World War II. When you don't have those things, and then you couple that with, as a brother was sharing, I knew my dad, but he wasn't active in my life because he was dealing with his own, I'm gonna call it demons, drug addiction, that's what it is, right? So the point is identity. Who am I? Well, in a heteronormative family unit, the male role model is the father. That's the first quote unquote man in my life. And not having that, I felt at an early age that responsibility of being the one to look out for the household. So on a trauma and emotional level, because as Black people, we're not viewed as human. So our trauma is never acknowledged or recognized. So I appreciate the brother naming that, and I'm gonna do that intentionally, right? When my apartment started getting broken into at 8 and 9 years old, I took that as personal disrespect to me as a quote unquote man of the house. And that sense of being stripped of your humanity, to be violated, if I can use that word. That's how I feel, to know that stranger been rambling through your things. On top of the fact that my mama was working hard, a single mother of 4 kids, and we're living in a Section 8 housing unit. We ain't got nothing here. Grew up on government cheese and food stamps. It was a shame to go to the store with the food stamps. And the fact that you were single and target a mother with young kids, the anger, that when we talk about the incarceration, the criminal injustice system acts and operates as if our society is perfect, and I as the individual was the outlier. There was never no place or space to name these things as part of my formative years, because as I wrap up, we know brain research indicates our brain is not fully developed until we're mid to late 20s. So we're making adult-like decisions without understanding the severity of the consequences at a very early age.
Wow. That is very, very interesting. And I wanted to touch on something because you spoke so highly of it that I do want to ask. When you said that we don't have the neighbor, we don't know our neighbors, so that's why we call it the hood. Would you agree that at some point we have to take some type of accountability on the fact that we lost touch with our neighborhood?
Yes, more than can, should. I would even say that's the only way we become liberated as a people. Again, starting with the systemic nature, factors and forces, there's things that we cannot control. But what's within our control is ourselves and each other. Number 2, we talk about resources. We call a community like East Oakland under-resourced, but we're looking at it through a governmental lens, meaning how much money is in our city budget. We have untapped resources in our community. Again, Black folks, we operate off the barter system. Quid pro quo, I'll do this for you, I'll watch your kids, can you do this, can you repair my cabinet? We can and should go back to that, because that is what's needed for us to really sustain this. And I'll say one last thing. I spoke on it earlier, so I'm not gonna go into deep detail, but I always encourage people, look at the Montgomery bus boycott. They didn't just say don't ride the bus. Black women made sure them sisters got the work. They created that core pool. And when you're working with someone, it's deep relationship building. Transformation can only occur from close proximity. We have to restore the proximity and not look at ourselves as enemies or in competition or at opposition with.
I Love that. Love that. Jeff, I'm going to ask you the same thing. How do you think accountability plays a role in our transformation?
Well, for one, I think for most of us, and like you said, it is systemic because the black male has been alienated and taken and stripped from our family structures. And that was the system doing that. The government did that because the drugs and the gang violence and all that. But at the same time, I feel like we don't need necessarily money, and he don't have to be my biological father to still raise me and instill in me the things that may be lacking or the things that I need. And if we came together as a community outside of having financial resources, we still have strong men in our community. We still have strong women. And if we came together and bonded together, that would be a catalyst to start going in the right direction, because the direction we're going in now, like, we can't even speak to each other. So how can I grow if the person next to me or the person that I'm looking to lift me up is tearing me down? I won't even speak to me and acknowledge me. I feel like if we all became more accountable and responsible to each other as a people and as a community, yes, we can grow. And we don't have to look at the government for that help. We have that within ourselves. If we have that moral fortitude and that constitution that the brother was speaking on earlier, to be able to say, okay, this is what's needed in my community. And like nonprofit organizations, BOSS, mixed behavior, these conversations, just giving youth and giving each other what we need to compensate for what we lost. I feel like it's very important.
Okay, Jeff, I know you was connected with me over here throwing mixed behavior out there, throwing the youth out there. You knew I was going to ask about that next. You knew I did. I know that the youth is something that both of you guys are passionate about, mentorship. I want you guys to speak about that, and I'm going to dive deeper into which section I want to, but I just want to give a general consensus of how do you feel about the youth currently?
Well, I'd start with the fact that I'm a single father. I have 3 kids total, but I'm a single father of my oldest and youngest. With the understanding that I didn't have a father growing up, coupled with, like Jeff was saying, I mean, we have to be honest, the black man is a target. In fact, as Brother Ron says, we're not endangered species because they are protected. Black men are not, right? It's important at an early age that young people are provided a nurturing environment. So as an adult, I view my role in 2 ways. The first is as a farmer. Farmers plant seeds with the full understanding that it takes time to produce a crop, right? It starts with fertile soil. You just can't plant a seed anywhere and expect a tree to pop up. The soil must be fertile. Number 2, we have to water. We have to get rid of the pesticides, or not the pesticides, but the pests that's always seeking to choke this seed that's becoming a plant before it can reach full maturity. So there's constant maintenance that's required. Then ultimately it's going to produce this bountiful crop. Young people are literally when I say backbone, it's interesting because we think of elders our way, which is true because they are they hold the knowledge and wisdom of our people. But I'm talking about from a future standpoint. At some point, I'm going to hit retirement age. Who is going to carry that baton? Our job is to take it from our elders and pass it forward and make sure that we move that proverbial football, to use a sports metaphor, that we are advancing and not going backwards. But it starts with young people.
I'm going to ask you, Jeff, about the youth and mixed behavior. How do you guys intersect?
Well, the thing is, we're trying to reach, well, my personal thing, let me speak to my personal thing, is because, like, I know that where my life derailed, it was in my youth. And had I had somebody to just talk to me or somebody to show me something different in my environment, that could have very well been what it took for me to change my life, or to say, hey, look, that ain't the road you need to be down. Look, I've done this, I've been there. And that's what we're trying to bring to the youth. We're trying to give them something different to do, give them an alternative to what they already know, what we have or don't have in our community per se. So just giving them mental health, giving them somebody to talk to, giving them programs or workshops and things of that nature, and giving them encouragement by us investing our time and our energy and our efforts into their development, into their growth, to show them that somebody do care. You might not have this at home, but somebody does care, and we're here for you.
Did you have any connections or ties to mixed behavior or BOSS when you were inside?
No, I didn't. I reached out to a few nonprofit organizations when I was inside, but again, I didn't take that too seriously because, again, I had a life sentence. So the mentality then was we wasn't coming home. This, it's over with for us. So I didn't take the thing seriously. I'm quite sure they were there, but I didn't have access to them. Not boss or mixed behavior, no.
That's beautiful. How did they play a role in your transformation then? When did they come in?
Well, they came into play as soon as I came home, and I was tapped into the people that was really behind the scenes getting things done and helping us get resources. That's boss, for one, stepped in. I think I got backed up on my rent, job, lost a job, COVID, all that. It hit as soon as I came home. And it wasn't enough work and it wasn't enough money to pay for, $2,000 of rent for a one bedroom. Boss actually stepped in, helped pay for my rent, offered me jobs, offered me opportunity and said, hey, look, we got you. And with mixed behavior, it was a childhood friend of mine. He knew my story. He knew what I wanted to do because we talked about it when I was incarcerated, that I wanted to come home and do something to help the youth. And he got it started, and he started in the direction that I should have been in. And he just took me with him, and I was blessed with the opportunity to start doing the work.
How does that make you feel?
It makes me feel proud.
Because I see your smile. I mean, you can't even help but smile. It's like I see your inner youth coming out. You excited. Like,
right.
Do you feel like if you had access to these resources when you were a child, that would have made you go on a different path?
I believe so. Like, if I had big brothers or programs for me to go to, or my parents to go to even, or whoever, to come and say, hey, look, this is where I want you at. Because it takes more than just sports. Everybody's not athletically inclined.
Absolutely.
So yes, I definitely believe that these opportunities were available to me then. It could have deterred my life from where it went.
Beautiful. Love it. You're just giving me life right now. Mr. John Jones III, I do want to direct this one to you because I know you work currently, even in the building we're in right now. So let's talk about that. Where are we?
We are currently at our Wellness, Empowerment, and Resiliency campus, located at what they call Eastmont Town Center. But for long-term residents, this is the mall. We're at Eastmont. We're in the East. We're in the area that, first of all, holds a lot of historical significance, things I call like institutional memory. What I mean is this was a place and space to be. I had so many fond memories of my childhood and teenage years here, to the point to where as an adult, I walked through, this place is like a mausoleum. It's empty. It's a former shell of itself. So the fact that BOSS have our Wellness, Empowerment, and Resiliency campus here, we're going to bring life. We're going to transform and restore this from a hood, bring it back to a neighborhood, a place where people can come and feel safe and above all be respected. I would say on a personal level, what I love most about BOSS, and there's many things, what was very important to me was when the pandemic occurred and then shelter in place was implemented, what I saw coming was an increase in gun violence, domestic violence, police brutality, and drug use. People thought I lost my mind. They said, people just need to stay in the house. I said, it starts there. Everyone don't have a safe space. Mm-hmm. We have to realize we're talking about the youth. For a lot of youth in Oakland, the only safe space was the after-school program. People were forced to shelter in place with their abusers, with no support system, no resources. That's social isolation, right? So I reached a point to where I moved out of Oakland. I love Oakland, but I moved to Georgia. My family's been out there for 20 years, and we was talking about family unification. But again, having two black males, sons in black bodies, at a time where gun violence was increased, at a time where folks didn't even want to have that conversation. You reach a point to where, what is more important? Is it my self-interest, my career, or the well-being of my kids? So I've moved, but going back to God, I was only gone 6 months. I'll be honest, I had a chance to rest and breathe, but I couldn't sleep at night anymore. I felt like I was turning my back on my city. I felt like I had something to contribute to. And it just so happened, as soon as I moved back, 2 days later, I'm on a Zoom call, and our amazing and fearless CEO, Donald Frazier, someone said, hey, John, I heard you back in Oakland. I said, yeah, I'm back. He said, wait, you're back? He called me. He said, bro, I got this job for you. And as I was sharing with Jeff earlier, I was taught this a long time ago, and it's so true to me. That's why I have so much love for this organization. A career, the best career, is a job you do for free. When you have the ability to do something that you're passionate about. I'm very passionate about reentry because when I got out of prison in 2012, we're talking about the onset of criminal justice reform. There was no resources available for me, nothing. I was sleeping on couches, I was homeless. didn't have a job, right? And to be part of an organization with the understanding that we are in a position to provide, as Mr. Frazier refers to it as, survival programs. People need help and they need help now. And they're gonna get that help from people with that lived experience. You're not just a client. I always say the work we do, we don't sell refrigerators. The real pay, the real salary related to this is understanding that we are part of a process that's gonna help someone truly become self-sufficient. At the end of the day, there is no higher purpose in life than being part of a process of seeing somebody else reach and achieve transformation.
I love that. I heard you earlier today speak about resources. What resources do you think that this center actually needs?
Here's the unique thing. So most nonprofit service providers at large typically have a singular approach, meaning, oh, we just help you get jobs. Oh, we just do housing. And that's cool because we understand how contracts and fundings are structured. The beautiful thing about this site is the fact that we are consolidating a number of our services and programs underneath one roof. So we are serving as essentially a one-stop shop, right? So we have, for example, the team and program over is our violence interruption programs. And it's important for folks to understand that that covers a wide umbrella of community and interpersonal violence. There's gun violence, there's gender-based violence, there's violence associated with sex trafficking. So there's employment opportunities, educational opportunities, and then there's healing opportunities. We have our reentry folks here and the ability to help people get employment. See, sometimes if we're thinking through a privileged lens, all I need is just someone to give me a job. Sometimes for people who haven't been in the workforce for a long time, they need a landing spot, a soft spot to help them get acclimated. We was talking about this earlier. It's difficult when you go from a structured environment, whether it's jail, prison, and you're being told what to do, and you don't have no voice and no recourse. Sometimes people don't want to work because it's not a job that they're looking for. What they need is a source of income. That's a different thing. Now, that could be a job. We have an entrepreneurial spirit here. That's what hustling is. Hustling is, look, I want to own my own. There's nothing wrong with that. So what we're doing here is providing people that space and that place to get there. Number 3 is always about who's doing the work. I'll be honest, you can feel, you can tell, you can sense when people are not truly invested in you.
Amen.
When you just a job, like you at the meat counter and I'm just number 69 and you're just trying to get me out the way. It's difficult to open up and say I'm having these challenges because again, trauma, it's shameful to say, hey man, I need a job, I need help. And it's difficult to even open up when your life experience have taught you that people are not going to help you, or they're going to judge you, or they're going to look down upon you. And then the last piece is, I'm speaking to it, but it's not just mental health per se. I refer to it as mental well-being. You don't have to be diagnosed to have challenges with your mental well-being. What is happening? And it started with young people. What happens in their home? What is transpiring as they're leaving their home on their way to school? What are they seeing? Are they stepping over homeless people? Or are they seeing people do certain things? What is the impact on that young mind? And then as adults, we become adults that have a wounded inner child. And if it's not healed, it's going to manifest in certain ways. So when they use these buzzwords like cultural competency, our mission here, and again, is in the name. If you think about it, wellness, that's the first piece. We want you to be well. Empowerment, it's not us. It's not about what I think is best. What's best for you, right? Resiliency, that connects to personal agency. Transformation cannot occur without being resilient because there will always be some form of opposition, right? But at the end of the day, if you look at the name of the organization, there's 2 parts. Building opportunities. It's our job to build the opportunity. You want it, we got it. We're going to build it. Even if we don't provide it in-house, we're tapped in. We're part of a larger network, a collaborative that can provide those resources. But the second part is really key, self-sufficiency. It is the participant's responsibility to achieve self-sufficiency. We're going to help them do that from a standpoint of empowerment, from a standpoint of safety, because we understand those challenges.
Wow, my God. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, this man, give him a raise. I honestly love the fact that you talked about hustle, because I'm from New York, and we're gonna actually speak a little bit more about that. So Jeff, I want you to tell me a little bit something about your hustle, and kind of like what it was like in the 20s and versus what you're hustling like today.
Well, first of all, I missed my 20s. I left the streets at 16. My hustle then was, selling drugs, weed, crack, stuff like that, and that was instantaneous gratification. Now my hustle is more based on within myself, like tapping in with me, learning where my deficiencies lie so that I can strengthen myself, build myself up so that I can be better than somebody else. Because if I'm not good to myself, then I'm not gonna be no good to anybody else. So my hustle now is just building myself up so that I can be the best that I can be and I can help others along their path and their journey.
Love that. And I literally love the fact that, like, I would have never known that you had your youth robbed from you. Like, the way you both carry yourself, the way how you guys just this era, this spirit that I hear in there. So I just wanted to give you guys that and let you guys know, like, I see y'all, kings. I see y'all, and you are powerful, and we accept that. And I thank you guys. So I want to go back, and I do want to talk about not even just faith or God or just boss. I want to really talk to you as the individual, how you guys are feeling, because this is Boss Talks, and I want to actually get y'all to talk more and not just be so professional. I want y'all to get, there's nobody else in here but us.
Right.
Keep it real. Be honest, because you guys went through something different. I want, if anybody is watching this, for them to know that they see themselves, that it's not just somebody up there. That's Unc. That's Unc up there. So if you were to look back, what could you offer your younger self? What would you tell your younger self about today, this opportunity, and what you're currently doing in your life?
It's interesting to me when I hear that, because I understand that the question is coming from a good place. I'll be honest, for myself, I wasn't ready to listen because there was things that was going on. The only thing I could ever offer myself is trust the process. It's going to be some strange things happening. It's going to be weird things. And I get it, because I know sometimes we say things like, oh, we have this conversation, but it's more to that. For me, we have different learning styles. The free education is learned through the mistakes of others and or taking advice. I'm an Aries. I turn 50 next month. I'm a hard-headed. The most powerful things in life I learned was through my own mistakes. Right? You turn me a wall there, it may be for you, not for me. Boom, I got this knot. Now I know there's a wall there. So again, trust. The second word, and this is very important, acceptance. The person I am now, and again, that connects to transformation. I'm not the same person I was 5 and 10 years ago. And similar to Jeff, not as nowhere near as long, but I was locked up from 16 to 24. So when you go in as a child, a minor, and then I was paroled 3 months shy of turning 25, by legal definitions, I was a man. Socially, mentally, emotionally, psychologically, I was a child. I didn't know how to function as a man. I went through a long period of my life where I didn't even like myself. So again, it goes back to what can you tell someone who don't even like themselves, who don't even believe in it? It took me a very long time to get to a place to where I grew comfortable with who I am now. So part of this energy you're getting is that's me fully accepting me now. I'm good with that. I understand the world is the world. I was talking about that earlier. People go have opinions. Like they ask Jesus, hey, Jesus told the disciples, who does people think I am? Somebody always go think you somebody. And the people who knew you from a previous life going to hold you to that, because part of the reason, most of the reason is because they haven't grown themselves. And sometimes our growth is a threat to people who have a fear of doing something different. Because again, we're social creatures. It's easy to want to blend in. I was not my authentic self growing up. Talking about hustling. Like I said, I was reading by age 4. I skipped from the 1st to 3rd grade. I won every academic achievement in my school. But then I reached a point in my life where I understood that the school system was intentionally failing us. I had friends who could not read, and teachers would just pass it along because they didn't want to deal with them. And I began to look at this world around me and said, none of these things are doing what they're supposed to do. The police are supposed to look out for us. At one point, we're kids. By the time I got to 12, they started treating me differently, like I was an adult. We say the adultification of youth. We are a product of our environment, right? But I learned power is the ability to change that. I can recreate my environment. I had to change my circles, but all that started with self. I had to accept me. When I say me, all of me, not just the cute parts.
Okay.
The parts that I didn't like, that's hard. But I had to pull that scab off. You understand what I'm saying? I had to look at that wound for the deep healing. Because you can't sanitize something if you just sweep and stuff beneath the rug, and then you wonder why 3 days later you got this foul stench in your house.
Okay, now come on. Is it Sunday? Because you out here preaching, all right? Jeff, how about you? How would you, or what would you say to your younger self?
I would more or less tell myself to be patient with, the process and my growth, that because where I was at, that's not who I'm gonna be. And just because where I'm at now, that don't mean that I gotta stay there. I would tell myself and I would encourage myself, because sometimes it takes you to encourage yourself and not others. So I would tell myself that it's gonna be all right, you're gonna make it through. Despite your deficits, despite your shortcomings, you're gonna make it. And whatever you go through, in the end, God got you, so you're gonna be good.
I know that's right. And I know you believe that because I felt that in your
Yes,
heart.
ma'am.
Yeah. So,
Exactly.
Jeff, did you by chance get to go to college?
When I was incarcerated, I did take a few college courses. I did psychology and I did business management. I also earned my high school diploma as well before I even transitioned to prison. I did it in juvenile hall. And after that, I just self-taught, but I did take some college courses.
Beautiful. I love that. And Mr. John Jones, I know that let's speak about Merritt College.
Yeah, I got my degree from Penn State. No, excuse me. Sometimes I get my words mixed up. The State Penn.
I can't, you know what? Nah, this one. And I was like, I'm dyslexic. I was like, what did he mix up? You're good.
I would say I want to add this because I'd be remiss going back to what I said to my earlier self and to all youth and period in general. Be authentic to yourself. No matter what you do, be real with yourself. Because I was being a follower. I was doing things that wasn't true to me, and I knew it. One of the things I joke about, like I got the acumen. I could have been a hell of a successful dope dealer. I just never had the passion. You follow what I'm saying? I'm doing things because I'm just trying to fit in. My mama always say, stop trying to fit in when you're meant to stand out. So I had one to add that.
That little 2 cents.
But the education, again, like I say, I've always a reader. And I've always been the type of person some people might call that challenge, but I was inquisitive. There's nothing wrong with questions. Never let someone just say something. If it don't make sense, speak up and speak out. Because you have to always consider your source. And I'll give you a perfect quick example. So when I went to the youth authority, everyone's required to do an assessment. So this psychologist, that's what he referred to himself as, was supposed to give me this assessment. So he said, okay, I'm looking at what you're in here for. You had some people attack you. Why did you do revenge? Why you didn't call the police? So mind you, I'm 18 years old. And in this moment, I'm like, call the police? Bruh, what do you do that at? Then I realized something. This individual, not only is he not from my world, he can never understand my world. So that means, most importantly, he's not even in a position to play a role in my transformation because he's approaching it wrong. So as I'm sharing my giving him some pushback, this was something interesting. He's like, man, you think you're so smart? I said, I know I'm smart. He said, let's take this IQ test. I said, only if you take yours. I took it and outscored him. He gave me this look of shock. He said, do you know what this means? I said, no. I didn't know what the IQ test was. But my point is the education starts with us unlearning, then learning. Because they give us garbage.
I love it. Unlearn to relearn. I definitely know that. I definitely am here for that. And I definitely thank you guys for just still being here with me. I know it's a little bit long, but I just wanted to ask you just a few more questions if you could bear with me. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
It's all right. Tubi will still be there.
You said what?
Tubi. You said be my authentic self. No, keep rolling.
We don't care about Tubi. No, I'm just
I
messing
do.
with you. I did mess with you. I actually can't. I feel ashamed because you spoke about like the food card. I'm from New York, so we think about food stamps being like bad. But then when you come out to Cali, it's like, you don't got food stamps, girl? I got you. Swipe. I'm like, word? Okay. I want some food stamps. So I want us to talk about we being authentic. And we spoke earlier about financial literacy and ignorance in our community. And it's just the lack of knowledge. Do you guys think that to become like, we spoke about building opportunities and being self-sufficient, but is ignorance really bliss when you're trying to be self-sufficient?
No. Emphatically, no. And I think it's important to understand a few things related to that. You know, we talk about financial literacy. I remember the first time I went to a car dealership and they let you test drive the car. Like, okay, everything good. Come to my office. He said, by the way, what's your credit score? I was like, huh? I'm 25. I never heard of a credit score. I knew what a credit card was, but he thought I was joking. So he told his coworkers, hey man, this guy, he's been a comedian. I said, dude, what's your credit score? I literally have no idea. When we say we don't know what we don't know, ignorance is never bliss. I am not a fan of that. I don't support that. We have to have knowledge. But it starts with, again, if we don't know something, maybe it's because of not just our circumstances, not just our family background, spaces and places we choose to be a part of. We network for our net worth. I intentionally put myself in spaces with people who thought different from me. I know what the dope dealers think. I know how pimps think. I don't know how people who own their homes think. I don't know what people with 401ks think. I wouldn't even know what that was if I didn't change my circle. So I think we have a duty to ourselves, first and foremost, to always seek knowledge, because that's how we are able to operate at our highest level. You can't operate at your highest frequency if you're not growing, if you're stagnant.
Oh, I'm about to shift gears real quick because I know how you said that you don't like ignorance, but I want us to think about it in a different facet because, Jeff, when you were in the prison, were you able to hustle? Were you able to do anything? Were you able to finagle things? Because if you didn't know it, did you learn it? Did you let that hinder you?
For a minute, it did hinder me because when I first went to prison, I was ignorant to a lot of things. I knew the streets, and I didn't know prison. It's like how he was just how John, was just talking about going from one society to another. That's a transition. I was coming from the streets as a child, a man-child, a boy basically, into a system with grown men. So I had to relearn, the game, and I was taught it for sure. I picked it up and I participated for a small time before I realized it wasn't for me. But yeah, you're gonna be taught whatever piques your interest, I believe. And so that's what I already knew then, and so it just heightened when I got to prison. It was not a situation where it's conducive to growth or to change. They want you doing the same stuff because they want you there, so.
I love that. Because I can tell you're a hustler. You get excited when you talk about entrepreneurs clearly in your spirit, even when you speak about being in mixed behavior and the youth. I do want to touch back on it because I want to know more about how you impact the youth and what you do more at mixed behavior.
Well, mixed behavior, like I said, I'm just now getting into the flow of things. We're fairly new to it. But right now, we're coming up with curriculum, doing youthful events, speaking events, and things of that nature. But
so what are you excited about?
I'm excited about, because I want to aspire to get inside those youth facilities and talk to at-risk youth, even go to group homes and things of that nature. I want us in there so that we can impact some kids. And I know that we're going there, and our direction is going to be set, hopefully after this for sure. We'll be sent up in there so we can do our work.
I just wanted us to take a second and take a breath. I know Mr. John Jones III knew that breathing exercise we did earlier. I want you guys to envision the future. Envision yourself, envision your legacy, because we are at a pivotal moment. We're at BOSS Talks, and this is a first-time opportunity that we've ever done this. What do you want to leave behind?
For me, and I think a lot about this, interested enough about legacy, and it's not even from an ego standpoint. It's about, I'll be 50. I'm gonna start talking about the life expectancy of a black male because I'm claiming longer than that. But I think anytime we're a part of something, we should be mindful of that. Like, what am I really doing? Is it just about me, or what am I leaving behind? My definition of leadership, I don't use I wanna leave a legacy of being a leader, and I want to define what that means for me. I don't adopt the definition based on number of followers. Because by that metric, Donald Trump is a great leader.
Whoosh, please, y'all, this man, warn me.
Right? It's not about who follows you. I don't want people following me. I want people to tap into their own power. So my definition of leadership is leading by example. And that connects to everyone, youth, elders, middle-aged, et cetera, et cetera. I want folks to understand, first and foremost, the things that you are experiencing is not just unique to you. Because that's how oppression and trauma operates. It operates as if it's just me. And if I think I'm the only one going through these experiences as I'm coming home, then I might be less reluctant to reach out for support and services. I won't be as willing to even share my experiences. That's why I do it. Because I want folks to know at the end of the day, you can overcome what's happening to you. It may appear very strange and harmful, but there is an end result. Granted that certain things must take place. Here are the things you can do. Here are the things people around you could do. And here's things that we all should do. But I want to tear that piece down, tear down that wall of oppression that says, look, it's just me, it's my fault, I'm shameful. All these are real things that don't always show up on a resume, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. To you, Jeff?
Well, the legacy that I want to leave behind is that, first of all, resilience. That we can come from an impoverished neighborhood, we can come from the worst circumstances, we can even walk through the scariest, deadliest prisons and have the jackets on our back, but we can still transform, work within ourselves, be better, strive for better, and impact and make changes in this world. And that we don't have to be what people tell us that we are. We can and sin to be greater.
I love that. Do you guys have any last words, or you guys want to say anything before we cut short?
I do. First of all, my brother Jeff, you've been hitting it.
Okay, let him know. Give him his grade, my boy. Like,
I'm
I said, y'all
listening.
did this
Trust
before
me,
or
I listen.
something?
No, seriously, because there's many things, but in the interest of time, I'll say one thing in particular. Again, self. We have to embrace ourselves. We do. We are amazing. We were uniquely created. We're all stars because a star was created to shine. But the key, when I say but, it's not to go against, it's connected. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, based on the evidence of things unseen. What that means is have dreams. The first part, substance is dreams, hopes. Be fearless, be courageous, be brave in dreaming and hoping. Dare to dream, dare to hope. Even if you don't know what you want to do now, don't let that deter you. I had no idea. People say what you want to be. I wanted to be alive because it was a point in my life I didn't think I was going to make it to be 18, and that was my reality. So I wasn't thinking about college, kids, none of that. I don't even know I'm going to make it, so I'm just in survival mode. But the second part is your ability to dream, to have hope, to seek change is not based on you having the resources. It's not even based on you understanding how it's going to happen. It's based on you first having that dream. And that dream is going to put you in places and spaces that's going to actualize it. I swear, at the end of the day on this note, we were just talking. I was in prison doing Toastmaster class. I had no idea what I was going to be involved with. I did my prison time in Washington State. So I remember when Oscar Grant was killed. I didn't know him. But my buddies, they was knocking on my cell. Hey, bro, man, the police acting a fool in Oakland, your hometown. So what happened? Police killed somebody. I'm like, okay, that's not new. They've been doing that. It wasn't until later when I saw the impact of that state-sanctioned violence that stole the life of Oscar Grant, that it was a worldwide reaction. It sparked something inside me that said, you're gonna return back to your community and you're gonna play a part in giving back. I had no idea what that meant, had no idea what that looked like. And here I am now, 12 years later, been blessed on this amazing journey, and I'm just scratching the surface.
Amen.
But it's a beautiful thing. It's a real thing. And at the end of the day, life is simply that. Life is for the living. Amen. We need to reacquire the fullness of our life, not just pieces and spectrum that society reduces us to. Full life. What makes you happy? You have a right to be happy.
Amen.
If you don't feel that way, ask yourself why. But most importantly, nobody determines your value. People will always try to strip you of your value. Demand that they show you, or demand that they recognize your value.
Amen. Well, damn. Yeah.
Hard act to follow, for sure. But what I want to do, I want to take the opportunity to say, first and foremost, to like those that have been hurt and those that have been affected by my negative behaviors and my destructive past, I want to take the time to say I apologize humbly, and I want to do and work to earn the trust of my people and my community again. And I want all of us to know, all of our people to know that sometimes we got to put the past behind us because there's something better coming in the future. And for us to start just coming together as a people and loving one another and investing in each other and investing in our programs, giving back in the smallest way. It ain't got to be a monetary value. It can be just coming to catch the ball with the kids at the park, you know? So I want our community to grow. I want it to be built, not rebuilt, but built. And I want us to do it together. I want us to take the time out and say, okay, now is the time. We can do it. Nothing's holding us back but ourselves. And that's the message for you know, those out there that still participating in whatever destructive behavior that I once participated in. It's not over for y'all. Y'all can always make a change. Y'all can always grow. Y'all can always do something different and join on. And let's build our community and our families back to where it's supposed to be, our rightful place.
Jesus, both of y'all. Talk about hard acts to follow. You guys, thank you once again for being here, for opening up, for being vulnerable, and for just creating this space so we could talk. Y'all, I'm Aesthetics. This is Boss Talks. Remember, we're building opportunity for self-sufficiency. Till next time.